at 2 o'clock. We are here to have a discussion on court staffing with our clerk, Tammy Eberhard. So I'll turn it over to you to tell
Okay.
us what's.
Well, it started out to be all just staffing, and then we have the case come up and some more meetings with the judges, both judges, and Carlene Berenger, who's our trial court administrator. And we have a lot of other things that are going to affect our budget next year and even some this year, depending on how many hearings are still held this year for the murder cases that we have. So wanted to update you there. I don't feel we're going to need any staff adjustments in district court, court records, or in the district court. So I think we're fine there. What we are going to need is some will cost some money and some won't cost some money. So I've arranged for a security assessment to be done on the courthouse. And that's for the protection of the public as well as the defendant. That'll be done next Thursday by NIS or a health and welfare police officer that does that. So Corey Thompson is his name. And he'll be coming and Lance will be joining him to do that. So they go through everything and they show where our vulnerabilities might be, areas of improvement that we can do within the constraints, of course, of our budget and our building. So they'll be going through that kind of stuff, and then we'll get a written assessment on things that we need to do. So I'll know more about that after that meeting. And we want to get them done as quickly as possible because we don't know when the next hearing will be. Currently, it's scheduled preliminary hearing for July 3rd. That will probably push out since they've already taken the death penalty off the table. That gives more time. And then we'll be up to the defendant and his attorney to decide where they're going to go with that. So that's one thing. That's no money. Security equipment. We do have the little scanning machine that can pick up metal that we walked through when we did the first initial appearance. That is really old and kind of works, but it's not sufficient for this kind of a trial. So Carlene Berenger, yesterday we met with the two judges. She's going to check with Kootenai and see if we can get an x-ray machine. The judges are going to require that it be done on the first floor when they walk in the door. The other door will be locked, so people will not be able to come in and out.
This is on the day of the trial?
On any hearing, whenever he has to come over and be present.
Oh, when he has to, okay,
Yeah.
For his situation.
Correct. Because these types of things can go really crazy, and we've in the past have threats on judges, threats on people working in the courthouse, attorneys. So there's also concern when they're not all housed in the courthouse that they may need additional security at their offices as well. So we know now that Chris Schwartz will be taking it on. He is going to need to have a new contract done with us as soon as possible. He left a message for somebody last week, but nobody has returned his call.
Didn't get it.
So somebody needs to call him and get that worked out because his current contract does not include any murder trials. So we are fortunate that they took the death penalty off of the table because that would have required a death certified attorney, 2 of them, which would cost us a whole ton of money. So Chris has agreed to do it, but we have to have that contract in place, and it will be at a higher rate than what he's got today. Currently in Kootenai County, it's $150 an hour for those types of attorneys, and he knows our financial situation and will probably come in around 100, which is more than what we pay the others. So
I wonder if he wrote Tracy.
I don't know. I haven't talked to Tracy about it since then, so I'm not sure, but we really need to get moving on that and get that taken care of. And then also in that, I would anticipate he may add staff to assist him, with the orders and things like that. Or he also may need to add additional staff to cover what he was doing for first appearances in public defense. So I don't know how much additional he's going to need to do. That's going to have to come out in those discussions when we talk to him about his new contract. So those are not in our budget currently. So we'll have to address those. The other things that will come up, we're going to need a court reporter that we pay. It's an hourly wage generally for every single hearing on either one of the murder cases. Really, they should have them on both. So Judge Duggan agreed yesterday that they could be remote. That will save us travel charges and stuff. So I'll be adding that to the budget. We have.
And when you say adding it to the budget, you mean this year's or next?
Well, I can't do anything about this year's. It's just going to go over. So district court is not part of the general fund, but it is a budgeted and a levied fund. So it will affect the levies for next year when we have to raise that. So the only one that is part of the general fund that will impact our budget both years are the prosecutor. They're part of the general fund. They're Fund 17. And the court records is part of 17, but I don't see any changes there other than maybe some additional posting or something. Very little postage. So I don't really think we're going to need a whole lot there. And then depending on how quickly things move, we'll have to cover all fees for witness and mental evaluations. Those are quite expensive, and every year I raise that a lot, and there's just so many of them anymore. It's crazy. So right now in district court, I'm at 206% of budget for mental health evaluations and 86% in the public defense ones. And the difference is if the judge asks for them, they go in district court. If the public defender asks for a mental evaluation, it goes under the public defender's budget. Okay. So those two, I imagine, are going to go up significantly. Because witness fees, we don't really usually have a lot of those, but apparently if you get somebody that is a witness testifying on like the mental thought processes that go through people's head and all that kind of stuff, when they can cost upwards of $15,000 per appearance. So I was just told that today. Yeah, Carlene said, I think we missed our calling. I was like, yeah, I think so. So we have those. Then we will, let's see. Okay, then the next thing is we will have to have a secure holding area for the defendant. So Carly and I went through yesterday and talked with the judges on where they thought that might work. So currently the only two places in the courthouse that will work are the little room that's off the side of Rochelle's office. It's a client or attorney-client room that we use, and the auditors use that room for meetings, but it has to be completely cleared out. What's in there is about 7 or 8 4-foot, 5-foot file cabinets that are full of old civil cases that need to be stored under lock and key. The good news is they're all in lock and storage right now, so they can just be moved somewhere the way they are, but eventually they'll need to get scanned too, like all the rest of them upstairs. So we need somewhere to put those if we use that room, as well as moving the all the other stuff that's in there. There's like an old TV on a cart and just some garbage in there. It does have a locking door, so that's a good thing. And it does have a window so that they can have law enforcement outside the door at all times and see what's going on inside. So that's one area. The second area is the one that's in the back of the library upstairs. Currently, that little teeny office, that was Scott's office, but the problem with that one is it's not really confidential, because everything that goes on in there, Judge Duggan can hear because it's just open up above there. So that would require probably something be done for that if we use that one. And then it also, of course, depends on what you guys plan to do, because that would probably require a little bit of money to do, to get ready. But so there's that one. And then that room would be used when they bring the defendant over. They'll stay in there and they'll, do it not in front of everybody else, but bring them over and, secure them, and he'll go in there and have his lunch, or if they take breaks, that's where they'll be. And he won't leave the courthouse until it's safe to do so, and they will be clearing the areas that they go through. So anytime they move them in and out, you know, they have to clear everything, so everybody shuts and locks their doors, and so, and not just him, but it could be the parish one too, I'm not really sure yet, but we just need to be prepared for it, because it seems like there's becoming more and more of them anyway, so. So that's that one, so, so other costs that we will have increased costs on is law enforcement costs. They will, be having at least probably 3 to 4 additional sheriffs over here. They might get some from ISP. They might just use their own staff. We're going to need an additional bailiff, a real bailiff. Somebody's going to have to man the security equipment downstairs, because it'll be placed when somebody comes in the front door, and everyone will have to go through it, because we don't have ID badges. If it's a sheriff or somebody that doesn't work here all the time, they're not going to know people. So we've talked about those before, but we don't have them. And I haven't had time to get them, so. So might become a priority to get them, but at this point, we're still gonna have to have somebody man that, and somebody to be upstairs, through the whole thing.
Now, what role in that can Sean play?
Sean could play one of them. He could either be downstairs, checking people in as they come through and scanning them. We also have a couple wands we can use. Just depends on how many they feel we need and how many people actually show up. And then the one upstairs, of course, sits in the courtroom, and he's a bailiff, a real bailiff, you know, that usually they, like in Kootenai, they carry and everything, and they do everything. So it just depends on to what level.
So where do we get a bailiff?
Well, Dave Dose is our bailiff right now. You know Dave Dose?
No.
No, not Dave Dose. Shit. Not Dave Dose. Oh my God.
Somebody else there?
Dave Jerus.
Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot that one. That was funny. That was like,
Yeah, I was like,
you know, you could.
I'm wanting a pay raise.
Yeah, I don't think he wants that pay raise. It's like $10 an hour.
Yeah. I have a job like that.
But I will be checking around to see if I can find somebody that might be willing to do that. When we had Jared would be awesome for that job, but he don't want to do it, but maybe in a high profile thing like this, he might reconsider. I'll talk to him about it. Lance is going to as well. It's his relative too, so.
Yes, it is.
So we'll find out about that. But it, you know, it could be, we just need to find the right person that can do it and always do it. So law enforcement costs, that just means, you know, if they feel they need to add more staff to cover this, then fine. But at this point, yesterday, they're usually spread out. So, they'll probably be able to cover it or borrow people to cover it. So we wouldn't have really additional costs unless they need to work some overtime to cover things. Okay, and then meetings, press. So we had quite a discussion on the press when they come, and usually you have to have somewhere to stage them. When they were here the other day for first appearances, they were on all floors, wandering around here for a long time, carrying on conversations, blocking the stairways and everything else. So Carlene recommends that we have somewhere that they have a meeting place to go and they can do all their stuff there. So the places that we talked about would be like a tent in the yard out here for them to go, because then they can put all their equipment up and hang out there. They could do it like over under the viaduct if we could get the city of Wallace to agree to that. I don't know. Something I'll have to talk to them about. I haven't actually called them yet. And we'll have to cover the cost of the tent in that, because we don't have anywhere for them to go. So we will be limiting the amount of people that are going to be able to be in our courtroom because of the size. So I'll be meeting with the fire marshal to find out how many people we can have in there. And then we will have to have signups on who's coming for both sides of the parties, and the press and attorneys and law enforcement. So we know exactly how many people, and then we'll do a lottery for the rest of them probably. So a lot of people potentially could be turned away. So we're doing that. So I'm working on those things. And then, Carlene will be, she's already been assigned as the PIO for the DL Public Information Officer, as well as Nate Pino, who's with the Supreme Court. Quite a few little things going on there. We are making good progress with scanning our files. We've gotten quite a few scanned. Up in the third floor in that little room, and we are ready to have Randy move two of the bookcases back into our cafeteria area.
Cafeteria area.
Yeah, we have a little kitchen up there. That's where a lot of them came from. They blocked the windows with bookcases and stuff. So we're gonna see if he'll move a couple of them, and then we can move those out, and then we could probably get a plan together for what's gonna happen upstairs. Till those are out, we can't do anything really. And then they'll just continue working on scanning them. So haven't really gotten, I mean, they've gotten a long ways, but there's a lot to scan.
Are these the files in the law library or?
Yes,
Yes.
they're
Part of the
partitioned off
wall?
of it. Yeah, they are the wall.
Yeah.
Basically. And then we talked to the judges about the books and said, anybody wants some, they can come and get some. And we talked a little bit to Randy about getting, hauling them off and taking them to the dump because nobody takes them. So it's kind of where we're at on those. Once
Should we
that's open,
advertise
it's open. I don't have time to advertise them. We can, but then I want somebody else to go up and show them and monitor it and all that kind of thing. I don't have time to be an escort for that right now. And I
Can't
don't really
imagine
have
why.
anybody else to do it really either right now. So
Well, maybe Randy can do it.
maybe.
Oh,
Yeah.
we could do that.
Yeah.
Probably
Yeah.
get rid of those. So like we
Yeah.
could put it on our website or something in a couple places and then get Randy to be the point of contact.
Mhm. Yeah, normally when we have like people go into the witness room or whatever you would call it, the little attorney room that's got the table in it and stuff, there is a table there that we'll be able to move somewhere, probably because they would prefer it just be a desk that's in there that the prisoner could sit at and a couple of chairs. And that's all that can be in that room too. So we'll have
They
to find
prefer a
places
desk
for
to a
some of
table?
those. Yeah. They don't tip over quite as easy, I guess. You just put it up against the wall and it's kind of where it stays. Because we have had in court before defendants flip the tables. So,
I've heard
Yeah.
of turning the tables.
yeah,
Yeah.
they've done it up there, even since I've been here. So, and then I think that's probably it for court staffing. So what kind of questions do you have, concerns, ideas?
Should we buy lottery tickets?
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep thinking I should too. I just forget.
So what do we do about the fact that we're gonna be over budget this year? For these
We'll be
unplanned?
using our cash. It draws down our cash. So, just depends on how much goes into it. I mean, we're pretty early stages and we'll be in July
Mhm.
next week. So it just depends on how quickly things move along. They're supposed to have the trial within 6 months.
Mhm.
So that backs it up. I mean, there's 2 of those 6 months right there. 3 really, July to September. So, just conserve where we can. It's a bottom line budget. So if somebody's under, we'll be using that underage, but right now everybody's tracking pretty good.
But do you think we can borrow an X-ray machine?
That's what we're hoping from Kootenai. Yeah, Carlene's on that,
Okay.
hopefully.
I am concerned about Chris Schwartz since I didn't hear from him and you didn't hear from him.
No.
So
Mhm.
he must either be reaching Tracy or you haven't heard anything, right?
Yeah, he hasn't called me either or emailed me.
He said he called though, right?
I have not talked to him. Carlene said he did.
Yeah.
So unless he thinks
Didn't
he
we have
did
this
and
problem a
just
few months
waiting.
ago?
to
Okay,
have us approach him, since he's agreed to do it, I don't know.
okay. Well, I'd prefer Tracy do that since
Yeah.
she's been doing the liaison work with all the
Okay.
public
Yeah.
defenders.
Okay, I can send her an email. Let her know too.
Tell her Dave sold her down the river. At least she didn't get made bailiff at the meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She's looking right at me saying Dave Dose is the bailiff.
I know, it's like, what? That was funny.
He doesn't want
Dave
to be.
Duros. It's very close, you got it.
There you
It's
go.
very close, it's just not,
But do you have any good news?
exactly there. Timmy's working out wonderful.
Okay, that's encouraging.
She is helping me with budget and getting, what we have entered in so far to our budgeting module. But we have a long ways to go and a short time to get there, so to speak.
Well, if you quit spending all your time training people,
I know.
yeah, just been a rough.
Actually, I haven't even been downstairs today with her at all.
I know it's much harder to find you now. It
Uh,
was easy
yeah.
for a month or so there.
Yeah.
Okay,
Crazy right now.
you have any questions?
No, I don't.
Next time, let's bring Kleenex to this kind of meeting.
Yeah.
All right, it's a lot to think about
Mhm,
for our little courthouse.
mhm.
Okay, at some point, it would probably help me if you had time to walk me through these two rooms you're talking about.
Okay, I do
Just so
that
I make
anytime.
sure I'm thinking
Yep.
about the same thing you are.
Yep, doesn't take
And
long,
then
so
we can
do
talk
that
to
now. if
Randy
you want.
about the
Yeah.
books and,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
okay?
Yep.
All right. Public questions or comments?
My comment is that this probably should have been a budget workshop, not a staff meeting, because it went all over the place. Mental health, secure rooms. So it should have been a budget workshop.
Okay. Well, all right. If that's all we've got for today, this meeting is adjourned. And if you've got 5 minutes.